The Bengals are being disrespected with the new Madden 23 ratings. Let's talk about it. What it do, Who Dey Nation? It's the 513 with your boy JE on the Wincinnati podcast. I hope you all had a great weekend. Happy Monday. Shout out to my man Joe Mixon. Happy birthday, my G. Hope you lived it up and enjoyed the birthday party that you had out in Cincinnati. And today, I want to talk about something that's been kind of, buzzing across social media. And before we get into it, right, we're talking about the Madden 23 ratings. I want it to be clear because I know what people are going to say. Why are you paying attention to the Madden ratings? They don't matter. I agree, right? In theory, the Madden 23 ratings do not matter. They have no impact on real football. And oftentimes players are misrepresented in the game after proving that they are superior talents or top players at their position. But I think it's important. And the reason I think it's important to talk about the Madden 23 ratings and the Bengals and how they're being disrespected. A lot of players on the roster are being disrespected because I feel like Madden 23 is one of those places where you hope that bias is removed, right? But it almost feels like there's a bias against the Bengals in the Madden 23 or Madden EA franchise, right? When you look back over the years in history, it's not the first time, the Bengals have been disrespected from a Madden ratings type perspective. It's not the first time and it won't be the last. So I wanted to talk about it. It's something that's been kind of irking me. And don't get me wrong, I do play Madden and I think they're taking strides in the right direction. But at the end of the day, what are we doing, EA? What are we doing? Are you truly offering a simulation football game to the football fans out there that want to play a video game that offers a realistic aspect on the game? Or are you pushing a canned narrative through your platform, which some might be able to argue that they aren't. Some might be able to argue that they are. In my opinion, EA has failed us. Not so much in the Madden 23 beta. I thought it was good, but they failed the fans. And I think they failed the fans for one reason and one reason only. The player ratings across EA Sports, across Madden 23, it doesn't reflect how good some of the players are within their team, within their position. And it's really disappointing when you're looking at it. So to look at the Bengals, right? I'll start first and foremost off with the eyesore that stuck out to me, right? The Bengals are the 11th ranked team on Madden with an 85 overall. So they might have been like 75 last season, 74. So 85 is a big jump. It's 10 overall. But at the end of the day, the Bengals were the AFC champions. They beat the Chiefs twice in the same month. They went to the Super Bowl, and they were the AFC champions, right? Nobody is celebrating a Super Bowl loss, but let's keep it 100. When you're the AFC champions, that does mean something. And the Bengals might be the most disrespected AFC champion of all time when you look at Madden overall ratings. I look back 5 years, and they seem to have the lowest overall team rating in the last 5 years out of AFC champions or even Super Bowl losers, right, when you go back and look at it. So I thought that was interesting. Again, they have 10 teams in front of the Bengals, and I think some of it is up for debate, right? But in reality, to put the AFC champions at 11, the 11th best team in football, it's a smack in the face, I think, to the Bengals. I think they probably could have been around 88, 89, and it would have been fine. Not the best team on the game, of course, but an 85 is crazy. So here are some of the teams they have in front of them. The Bucks, okay. The Bills, okay. The Rams, Super Bowl champs, okay. The Packers, they got a good defense. The receivers, it's a question mark, right? They have Aaron Rodgers, but okay, we'll say we'll ride with the Packers, I guess. We'll say that's okay. The Ravens, um, they got Lamar Jackson. They got really at receiver Rashad Bateman, right, and company. Mark Andrews at tight end, which is a great tight end. But outside of that, I mean, come on, their defense. I mean, they got some rookies there that they're expected to contribute. They did get the safety and out of New Orleans, but the corners, both corners that they have, are coming back off of injuries. So I think the Ravens are, that's an interesting pick there. The Bengals swept them twice last season. One time with their starting quarterback, we beat them, by double-digit points. So that there's interesting to me. The Chargers, I could argue the Chargers. I could see the Chargers because they added Khalil Mack, they added J.C. Jackson. They had a great free agency, right? They added some key players there. So I could see the Chargers, and I could see why they're there. The Chiefs, I could see the Chiefs. I could see why they're there. The 49ers, a great team overall. I think the 49ers do have a great roster when you look up and down that team. But again, I think that's a team where you could debate, are the Bengals better on paper than the 49ers? Um, at a few spots, yes. But I think you're splitting hairs when you're talking about the 49ers. And then the Eagles, which the Eagles they had a good free agency as well, too. So honestly, being the 11th ranked team, in my opinion, it's a smack in the face to the Bengals. But some of these teams, you can see how, they were put above the Bengals. Some of them, not all of them, but some of them for sure. So I thought it was a slight. I definitely did. I thought the Bengals should have been somewhere around, top 10 to, top 8 as far as team rankings. I mean, when you win the AFC championship, everybody, you have a target on your back, and you didn't get there by luck, right? There's this condescending narrative that is, being pushed that the Bengals were lucky. The ball always bounced the right way. And I think it totally negates and takes away from the effort and the hard work that the players put in on the field, right? I mean, you got to understand turnovers don't just happen. People don't just win games. You have to go out. There's two teams playing to win the game. And quite frankly, maybe some things do go your way every now and then, but at the end of the day, you have to execute and finish the game, right? No team is going out there to give away the game, despite what happens. So, moving on from the team rankings, and I'm a little sick, so my apologies about that. Down a little bit of a cold, but I'll give Madden their flowers in one respect. With a couple players, I think they got it right. Jesse Bates, undoubtedly to me, top 5, top 8 safety. So I think they got his rating right. Joe Mixon, I think they got Joe Mixon's rating right. I think he's around 92 overall. Great player. I think he can even be higher, in my opinion, but we won't gripe over that. I think he's in a good spot there. Tyler Boyd, not ranked high, but I think TB is one of those guys that is probably right where he needs to be, around the 84 range. And TB is a great player, underrated, and I understand why he would be an 84. But I think he's right where he needs to be. And then last but not least, Joe Burrow. And Joe Burrow, I think, is a 90 overall. He's a top 5 safety, top 5 quarterback in the game. I said safety. He's a top 5 quarterback in Madden, and rightfully so. Now, some things here or there, I think you could nitpick with Joe. I think his deep ball improved. I think his throw power improved. You didn't see that correlate in Madden, but I got to give it to him, right? His, he's top 5, and I think he's right where he needs to be ranking wise. So I'll give them their flowers on that. And I think that, that's one of the areas where Madden didn't fail us, but there's a whole lot of areas where they did. And I'll start with the disrespect, the absolute disgusting disrespect for players on the Bengals that are not just, top players for the Bengals, but really recognized as top players across the NFL, right? And the first guy I'll start with is Trey Hendrickson. Trey Hendrickson comes in at 85 overall, not even in the top 10. Not even in the top 10 pass rushers on Madden. What? Are you serious? When I read that, I said, what the hell am I looking at? How in the hell could Trey Hendrickson not be a top 10 pass rusher? Even if he's 10, give the man his respect for the production that he's had on the field, right? Give him his respect. Trey Hendrickson, over the last 2 seasons, is only behind two other people in sacks. TJ Watt, 37 and a half. Myles Garrett, 28. Trey Hendrickson, 27 and a half. Come on, man. Madden, what are we doing? EA, what are we doing? Like, are we just like putting numbers on guys just because they play for a specific team? Trey Hendrickson was a game changer last season for the Bengals and really a big part of that Super Bowl run. And he did the same thing in New Orleans. So, I mean, if Trey Hendrickson was with the Saints again this year and he had double-digit sacks, no doubt about it, he would have cracked the top 10 easily. Easily, he would have cracked the top 10. They would have gave him his respect. But because Cincinnati maybe is a small market team and maybe EA or, media outlets aren't really buying into what Cincinnati's doing, maybe they overlook the production and say, hey, look, I know he had double-digit sacks. I know that he was really one of the best pass rusher on the Cincinnati Bengals and a key contributor to that playoff run. But let's just overlook it. Forget the fact that Trey Hendrickson is third in sacks over the past 2 seasons. Forget the part that Trey Hendrickson was a menace on the edge for offensive tackles. Forget the fact that Trey Hendrickson coming to the Bengals, a team that produced not great sack numbers before he was there, helped increase that number and by himself produced double-digit sacks and helped improve that pass rush. So it's disrespectful to Trey Hendrickson. He's a guy that 100% should have cracked the top 10. There's quite a few guys I would put him over. And quite frankly, the only reason he's not top 10 is because he's a Bengal. And that's just the reality of the nature when you look at these numbers that Trey has produced over the last 2 seasons and how effective he's been as a pass rusher. So the next guy I wanted to talk about was DJ Reader. DJ Reader, I think, was about ranked 12th amongst the defensive tackles. I think he's about an 85 on Madden. And again, disrespectful. DJ Reader may not have, the crazy numbers that Aaron Donald might have produced. But at the end of the day, DJ Reader, in my opinion, might have been one of the most important Bengals signings in that offseason when they made the big moves in free agency. He is a solid defensive tackle. He eats up double teams. He allows linebackers to have free lanes to run through and allows them to sort through the stuff, man. When you're a linebacker and you don't have a good defensive tackle in front of you, it makes your life hell. It's tough. Linemen are getting up to you to get their hands on you, but with a great defensive tackle, you have more time to make decisions, and you can make more plays. So in the run game specifically. So, I mean, DJ Reader, in my opinion, one of the best defensive tackle run stoppers in the game. But again, this is an area where Madden felt, hey, look, despite this guy being one of the top players of his position, because he is a Cincinnati Bengal, this is a guy we also don't want to give respect to. Probably no logic behind it. Probably no reasoning if you ask the people down at EA how they came up with these numbers. They probably just got on there and moved the sliders up and down, right? So that was kind of disappointing there. So there's a couple other guys, right? A couple other guys. And I haven't got to the most disappointing one yet. But this next one I'll talk about is certainly disappointing, uber disappointing, super disrespectful. Um, it's it's tough, when you look at it and say, well, T. Higgins, right? T. Higgins, top shelf T is what I like to call him because he goes up on the top shelf. He gets contested balls, and he is a phenomenal player. Arguably, in my opinion, a top 15 receiver. I think you can put him in that category because there's not a lot of receivers that have produced in 2 years like he has, right? In Madden, I think he's around 83. And I don't even know. He definitely doesn't crack the top 10. He might even be like the 20th, 25th receiver in Madden, if not lower. So, I mean, T. Higgins is just being absolutely disrespected. Not, I mean, in spaces and things like that on Twitter, you can expect people maybe not to know all the details and facts on a player. But when you're looking at a player like T. Higgins and you're telling me that you do a simulation football game that actually provides a realistic aspect of the game and how players move and run, how do you explain that? How do you explain T. Higgins not being a top 15, even 18 to 20? How do you explain that? How do you explain a guy, not to, and I'm not taking shots at Jerry Judy, but how do you explain T. Higgins and Jerry Judy both being 23 years old? I think both being in the league 2 years, right? On two different levels, in my opinion. I think Jerry Judy will be good, Russell Wilson. I think he'll have a great production. But here are the facts. And I think it's important that we talk about the facts because I'm not giving you my opinion. I'm not coming up here and saying, oh, I love T. Higgins because T. Higgins wears orange and black. Although that is partly the case. But the real reality is Jerry Judy, 2 years in the league, 1,300 yards, 3 touchdowns, 90 receptions. Madden rating, 82. Yeah, I know. T. Higgins, 33rd pick overall. Mind you, Jerry Judy was picked 15th overall. 2 years in the NFL, 2,308 yards, 14 touchdowns, 159 receptions. Madden rating, 83. I mean, one of those are not like the other. And I don't have to draw it out for you to see that there is a clear disrespect and bias within EA. Absolute, utter nonsense, right? Like, how do you, as a EA, sports analyst, whatever the case may be, tell me that a guy that arguably top 10 to 15, when you look at the numbers, realistically, a part of the best receiving core in football, right? PFF rated the Bengals, I think, number one. How do you say T. Higgins is only a smidge better than Jerry Judy? And, Tyler Boyd is one of my favorite players that plays for the Bengals, right? But in no world should Tyler Boyd be higher than T. Higgins based on production this past season. So, I mean, the disrespect is there. I'm not sure, who they got running the controls on the ones and twos over there for player ratings, but the reality is that there's a bias that exists there. T. Higgins literally has nearly 1,000 more yards than Jerry Judy, and they've both been in the NFL for the same amount of time, only separated by one overall rating. It's crazy, guys. I mean, when you really look at it, it is absolutely insane. Um, it's hard to really put a finger on what they're doing over there at EA or how they're coming up with these numbers. But when you talk about a simulation football game and providing a realism experience for the user or customer, they're dropping the ball, dropping it. And I'm not going to stand on stage and say I'm not going to buy it, right? I'd be lying to you all. But the reality is, I don't know what they're even selling or what they're using over there to come to these conclusions. It's insane. T. Higgins, in my opinion, top 15, maybe even 18, potentially could be argued into the top 10 of receivers, maybe even 12, somewhere around there. But he's a talented player, and by no means should he be the 20th or lower receiver in the video game. Last but not least, and I might be missing somebody, but this was the most disrespectful one of all. I'm sure you know where I'm going with this one. Before I get into talking about this one, I want to read you off some quick stats from 2021, right? Here are the top 5 receiving performances from 2021. Jamar Chase, 266 yards, 3 touchdowns. Davante Adams, 206 yards and a touchdown versus our Bengals. Jamar Chase, 201 yards receiving and a touchdown. Jamar Chase popping up twice. The next guy, who's number 4, Tyreek Hill, 197 yards and a touchdown. And the 5th, last but not least on our list, T. Higgins, 194 yards, 2 touchdowns. So that's the top 5 receiving performances from last season, right? And don't get me wrong, anybody can find lightning in a bottle every now and then, right? Anybody can do it. But here's a reality. This next guy is being utterly disrespected to the point to where he said, I think, look, I'm going to keep working. Tom Brady came out and said, hey, man, don't worry about it. They didn't even have me on the game going into my 2nd year, I think. EA just dropping the ball, man. Jamar Chase is an absolutely super talented player. There's no reason, no way in hell Jamar Chase shouldn't be a top 10 receiver, right? Or in the 90s. Really, Jamar Chase is a top 5 receiver easily. Not even a question. Not even close. There ain't 5 receivers in the NFL right now that I take over Jamar Chase. There isn't 5. There's only 1 for me, and that's Davante Adams. And that, to me, I don't know if I would take Davante Adams over Jamar Chase, because I think Jamar Chase, his upside is so crazy. In my opinion, he has the potential to be one of the greatest receivers that we've seen of all time. So I think he really has an opportunity to do that. And playing with Joe Burrow, I think, is going to make him even more special because of that chemistry. So Jamar Chase, again, Jamar Chase is a 87 overall. I don't think he cracked the top 10. He certainly didn't crack the top 5. And here's how bias exists within Madden, right? Let me point you out something that is really clear on how EA operates and how sometimes there's some bias that might exist there that they may not even know about. I know there's a lot of layers to EA and how they do it, and it's a bunch of people involved. So it isn't one person's fault, right? But here's the reality. Odell Beckham, his rookie year, right? Stay with me here. 91 catches, 1,300 yards, scored 12 touchdowns. The following season for Odell Beckham with the Giants, following his rookie season, he was ranked a 94 overall. One of the best receivers in football. He was given the recognition of one of the best receivers in football after just one season. One. For people to tell me they need to see it more, duplicate it one more time, is bogus, right? Because here is Jamar Chase's stat line. 81 catches, 1,400 yards, 13 touchdowns. Offensive Rookie of the Year. Odell Beckham won Offensive Rookie of the Year as well, too. And it's not a knock on Odell Beckham. Odell Beckham is a special talent. He deserved that 94. But how in the hell do you explain Jamar Chase not easily being a top 5 receiver in football. How do you explain that? How do you even wrap your mind? How do you even say, hey, look, this guy, generational talent, gave defenses problems as a rookie, single balled out in the playoffs. How do you say that this guy isn't a top 5 receiver? How do you justify that? And again, it's EA Sports, it's Madden failing us as simulation fans, as football fans, as people who just want to see their players get their respect, failing the athletes, not properly representing the athletes in the video game like they should be. And don't get it twisted. It's a game. It ain't life or death. Now, some players might use it as motivation, which is awesome, but it's just a game at the end of the day. So I don't think anyone's losing sleep over it, right? I don't think anyone's losing sleep, but the reality is Bengals players who are top players across the NFL are being disrespected for the the pure fact that they're Bengals. And if those players that I told you about were on other teams, they'd be ranked higher. The reason we know this is because we saw a prime example with OBJ when he played for the Giants. After his rookie season, he was a 94 overall. So, I could have missed some people, honestly. I could have missed a few players, but I think those are players that I mentioned that absolutely deserve to get their respect, right? When these players work their tails off, you're a kid, you grow up playing Madden. One day you say, hey, look, I'm going to be on that game. One day I want to put my family in a better place, and I'm going to be on Madden. Madden's a historical franchise, right? Rest in peace to John Madden, phenomenal coach. The impact he had on football, unbelievable, right? John Madden, whether we knew him or not, he impacted all of our lives. But EA, they're doing a disservice to the brand. They're doing a disservice to all the athletes out there that worked their tails off to get into the game, had great production, only to be slighted, to say, hey, I know you were the best at your position or one of the best at your position, maybe top 5, but that ain't good enough. So, look, I said all that to say the Bengals are being disrespected. They can use it as fuel. They can use it, to even come on top of that and be better next season. There wasn't a lot to talk about, right? Camp's around the corner. We got the new all-white icy helmets, which is going to be incredible to see them play in. But EA, man, if you ever see this, give my people, give my players, give my team their respect. That's all we want. We don't want people to pat us on the back, give us free stuff, act like we're the greatest thing since sliced bread. We just want respect. That's it. Very simple. You know what I'm saying? And respect isn't given, it's earned. And I think a lot of players on this team have earned respect. So please, EA, wake up. Let me know if you need somebody over there on your team to help with the ratings, because I will individually go through each rating on every team to make sure you get it correct. I'd be glad to help. But give people that respect. They deserve it. I appreciate you all listening to the 513 on the Wincinnati podcast. Hope you guys have a great Monday. I'll catch you next week.